She cheated because I was broke. Now she begs for a second chance. She laughed at my cheap shoes, called me a burden, and left for a rich guy. 2 years later, I'm the one driving past her in a car worth more than his house. She says she made a mistake. I say too late. You know what hurts more than being cheated on? The silence that comes after. That deafening quiet in a place that used to be full of laughter. It's the echo of her last words, bouncing off the walls you painted together. For me, those words were, if you'd made more money, Liam, maybe I wouldn't have had to look for something more. She said it so casually, like she was talking about the weather. The day I lost my job wasn't just the day my career hit a wall. It was the day she decided I wasn't man enough for her. The day she walked out, she took the future we were supposed to build and just left it in pieces on the floor. That was 5 years ago. 5 years of rebuilding, of grinding, of turning that soul-crushing echo into a foundation. Then this morning, my phone buzzed. It was a name I thought I'd deleted from my life for good, a ghost from a past I had buried. It was her, and the message had only 3 words. Can we talk? After all this time, she was back. But things were different now. Very different. Before the silence, there was music. Our life was just easy, full of inside jokes and late-night talks about the future. Her name was Chloe. We'd been together since high school, the couple everyone thought would make it. Thick and thin, she'd whisper, tracing circles on my hand in the dark. That's us. And I believed her. I really did. Our first apartment was a tiny, third-floor walk-up with crooked floors and a radiator that hissed all winter. But it was ours. We painted the living room a ridiculous sunset orange because she said it was an optimistic color. We'd sit on our worn-out sofa and map out our whole lives. She was going to open a graphic design boutique, and I was a software developer at a hot tech startup. Coding wasn't just a job for me. It was my passion. It was the one thing that made my mind catch fire. We weren't rich, not even close, but we were happy. We had that pizza and a movie kind of money. It was enough. We talked for hours about the house we'd buy one day, with a big yard for a dog we'd name Gus. I remember how proud she was when I got my first big project at work. She framed the memo and hung it by the door. She called me her genius. With her by my side, I felt like I could do anything. She was my biggest fan, or so I thought. The first crack was tiny. The tech bubble started to get shaky. You'd hear whispers in the office about restructuring and budget cuts. I started working later and later, trying to prove I was essential. I was so focused on keeping our future safe that I didn't see her changing. At first, she was my rock. She'd bring me coffee, rub my shoulders, and tell me not to worry. We're a team, she'd say. We'll get through this. But as weeks turned into months, her support started to feel different. It soured into resentment. Her questions changed. Are you sure this company is stable? Became, maybe you should be looking for something safer. The we slowly turned into you. It wasn't our problem anymore. It was my failure. Then the day came. The whispers became an email. My name was on the layoff list. I walked out of that building in a total daze, holding a cardboard box and feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. I just kept thinking, it's okay. I have Chloe. We'll figure this out. But when I walked into our orange living room, the look on her face wasn't sympathy. It was just cold disappointment. The cheerleader was gone. A judge was sitting there instead, and she'd already made her decision. The vibe in our apartment changed overnight. It went from a home to a prison. The air got thick with things she wouldn't say out loud. My failure wasn't just about the job. It was like a flaw in my character now. I spent my days firing off resumes, trying to crawl my way back, while she spent her nights out with friends. She'd come home smelling of expensive perfume and a kind of distance that just chilled me to the bone. The late nights got more and more frequent. Just blowing off steam with Sarah, she'd text, hours after she was supposed to be home. Her phone, which used to be face up on the coffee table, was now always face down or clutched in her hand like it was her connection to another world. A world without me. I tried to talk to her to fix whatever was breaking between us. Chloe, we need to be a team right now, I begged her one night. She just looked at me, and her eyes were completely empty. I'm tired of struggling, Liam, she said, her voice totally flat. I'm just so tired. The moment I found out wasn't some big, dramatic scene. It was a quiet, sick feeling in the pit of my stomach. She was in the shower, and her phone lit up on the bed. A message preview from a name I'd never seen before. Marcus. The message said, last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. Time just stopped. The only sound was the hissing radiator. I read the words over and over, my brain scrambling for any other explanation. But I knew. You always know, don't you? Deep down, you just know. Every late night, every vague excuse, every cold shoulder suddenly clicked into place. When she came out of the bathroom, humming some tune I didn't recognize. I was just sitting on the bed, holding her phone. The humming stopped when she saw my face. "Who's Marcus?" I asked. My voice was barely a whisper. I saw a flash of panic in her eyes, but then it hardened into a defensive glare. She didn't deny it. "It's not what you think," she said. The classic line. "Isn't it?" I asked, feeling strangely calm. The shock was turning into anger. "I saw the message, Chloe." She sighed. Not a sigh of regret, but of annoyance. "Look, Liam, you can't really expect me to just sit around and wait for you to get your act together." The cruelty of it just knocked the wind out of me. She was making it sound like I was a charity case she'd gotten sick of. Get my act together? I lost my job 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks, Chloe. After 5 years of us building a life. You're throwing that away for this Marcus guy. "It's not about Marcus," she shot back. "It's about me. I need security. I need a partner who can provide for me, not a project I have to fix." That's when my heart really broke. Not when I saw the text. It was when I heard her say that. This guy wasn't just some random dude. He was everything I wasn't at that moment. He had the stability she suddenly valued more than me. More than us. "So you cheated," I said, the words tasting like ash. "Because I was broke." And then she delivered the final blow. The words she could never take back. She looked me right in the eye. No emotion left, just a chilling coldness. "If you'd made more money, Liam," she said, her voice quiet but devastating, "maybe I wouldn't have had to look for something more. I'm sorry, but I can't build a future on potential." That night, she packed a bag. She moved so fast, it was clear she'd been planning this. As she walked to the door, she paused, but she didn't look back. "I'll have my brother to get the rest of my stuff tomorrow," she said to the wall. And then she was gone. I didn't move from the bed for hours. I just sat there in our stupid sunset orange room, staring at the empty space where she was supposed to be. The silence was absolute. It was the sound of my world ending. Our future was a pile of rubble at my feet, and I was completely, utterly alone. The first few weeks were a total blur. I was basically a ghost in my own apartment. Every little thing was a memory of her, a phantom pain that hurt so much it felt physical. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I'd just lie awake, staring at the ceiling, with her words on a loop in my head. I can't build a future on potential. It was like a poison, making me question everything about myself. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was just a failure. The apartment felt huge and empty. Those orange walls that were supposed to be optimistic just felt like they were mocking me. I ghosted my friends, ignored my family's calls. I couldn't stand the pity in their voices. Rock bottom isn't a place, it's a feeling. And I was living there. The turning point wasn't some big movie moment. It was slow. It was me, one morning, catching my reflection in the dark TV screen. I looked awful. Sunken eyes, a blank stare, shoulders slumped in defeat. And in that moment, something just sparked. It was anger. Not just at her, but at myself for letting her break me. I decided, right then, she would not get the final say in my story. That was the day I started to fight back. Not for revenge. Not to win her back. But for me. First, I had to get out of that apartment. I found a small, boring studio on the other side of town. It was nothing special, but it was a blank page. It was mine. Then the grind began. It was punishing, relentless, and the loneliest thing I've ever done. I poured everything I had into 2 things, the gym and my work. I started waking up before sunrise to go work out. At first, it was hell. Every rep was a battle against that voice in my head telling me I was worthless. But slowly, the physical pain started to drown out the emotional pain. It gave me a sense of control when my life felt like it was spinning out. I wasn't building a revenge body. I was building armor. My career was the other half. The job market was brutal. Every rejection letter felt like a little reminder of Chloe leaving. But instead of letting it crush me, I used it. I took a mind-numbing data entry job to pay the bills. But at night, in my tiny apartment, the real work started. I went back to what I loved, coding. I started working on a pet project, an idea for a productivity app I'd had for years. It was for freelancers to help them manage their workflow. The late nights came back, but this time they were different. They were fueled by passion, not fear. My apartment was lit by the glow of my monitor, filled with the sound of my keyboard clicking away. There were nights I wanted to give up, nights I fell asleep on my desk. But every little win, every piece of code that finally worked, felt like I was coming back to life. I also started rebuilding my social life. I called the friends I'd pushed away. I learned to be vulnerable, to actually talk about what happened. My buddy Mark was a lifesaver. He'd check in, drag me out for a beer, and just listen. 2 years went by like that. 2 years of sweat, code, and slow healing. I released a beta version of my app, Nexus Flow, online, not really expecting anything. But then, something crazy happened. People started using it, and they liked it. A small tech blog wrote about it, then a bigger one. Suddenly, my inbox was flooded, not just with feedback, but with emails from investors. The next year was a total whirlwind. I quit the data entry job. I got seed funding. I hired 2 other developers. We worked out of my studio, which was now covered in white boards. Nexus Flow wasn't just an app anymore. It was a company. My company. By year 4, we were a success beyond anything I could have imagined. We had a real office, a team of 20, and hundreds of thousands of users. The money came, but honestly, that wasn't the best part. The real prize was knowing I'd taken the absolute worst moment of my life and used it as fuel to build my best life. I had found my worth in myself, not in someone else's approval. I was happy, genuinely happy. I was even dating someone new, Sarah, a brilliant architect who loved me for me, not for my bank account. Life was good, and Chloe was just a faint memory. 5 years to the day she left, the ghost decided to text. "Can we talk?" said on my phone screen. My first feeling wasn't anger or sadness. It was pity, just a deep, profound pity for her. I showed the text to Sarah. She read it, looked at me, and just asked, "What do you want to do?" No jealousy, only trust. That was the difference. That was everything. "I think I need to meet her," I said. Not for her, for me. To finally close this chapter, I agreed to meet at a neutral coffee shop. No fancy restaurant, no showing off. A place with no history for us. I saw her before she saw me. She was at a small table, nervously stirring a coffee she hadn't touched. 5 years had not been kind to her. She looked smaller, somehow. The vibrant, confident woman I knew was gone. In her place was someone who looked tired, worn down by her choices. I walked over and sat down. "Chloe," I said. My voice was calm and even. She jumped. Her head snapped up, and her eyes went wide as she really looked at me. I knew what she was seeing. A man who wasn't broken anymore. A man who was calm, confident, and whole. The power had completely shifted, and we both knew it. "Liam," she breathed out. "You look great." "I feel great," I said. It was the simple truth. The small talk was awkward. She asked what I was doing, and I kept it simple. "I started my own software company. It's going well." I saw it in her eyes. Instant regret. Then the tears started. "Liam, I am so sorry," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I made the biggest mistake of my life." She went into this long, messy story about how Marcus, the guy she left me for, was a fraud. His security was all debt. He'd left her for someone else a year later. She'd struggled, bouncing from job to job. She said she realized what she'd thrown away, that she'd been immature, and that she'd never stopped loving me. It was the perfect speech, the one I would have killed to hear 5 years ago. But now, it was just noise. I let her finish. I just listened. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel the need to yell or point out how ironic this all was. When she was done, crying and looking at me with this hopeful expression, I took a slow sip of my coffee. "I appreciate your apology, Chloe," I said, and my voice was so calm it seemed to surprise her. "And I really hope you can find a way to forgive yourself." A little flicker of hope sparked in her eyes. "Does that mean, can we try again? I know I messed up, but I can prove I've changed. I would do anything to get us back." I leaned forward. I wanted her to see the absolute certainty in my eyes. "What we had is gone, Chloe. You didn't just break my heart. You broke the man I was. I had to spend years picking up those pieces and building someone new. The man you're looking at right now, he was built in the rubble you left behind. And he built a life that you are not and cannot be a part of." Her face just crumbled. "But I love you," she stammered, like those were magic words. "You love the idea of what I could give you," I corrected her gently. "And when I couldn't give it to you, you left. The woman I'm with now, she was with me when I was still building everything. She didn't see potential. She saw me. You taught me that lesson, actually, to value the person who stays for the storm, not the one who just shows up for the sunshine." I stood up, pulled a few bills from my wallet, and put them on the table for the coffees. "You left me because you thought I was a bad investment," I said, a sense of total peace washing over me. "I hope it was worth it for you. Because for me, this was." I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. I didn't have to. I could feel her watching me go, but her regret wasn't my weight to carry anymore. I walked out of that coffee shop into the bright sunlight, feeling lighter than I had in 5 years. The book was closed. For good. Driving home, I didn't feel like I'd won. There was no cheap thrill of revenge. I just felt peaceful. For years, I fantasized about this moment, about showing off my success and making her feel awful. But sitting there, I realized something. My success wasn't a revenge. My peace was. The real victory wasn't the company or the money. It was that I no longer needed to hear her say sorry to feel whole. My self-worth isn't tied to her anymore. She was just a chapter in my life. A painful one, for sure, but necessary one. She taught me about resilience, about what a real partner looks like, and most of all, about my own strength. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone back into your life. It's about letting the anger out of your own heart so you can make space for better things. She didn't break me. She freed me. She cleared the path for me to become the man I was always supposed to be. And in a strange way, I'm grateful for that. That was my story, but I know I'm not the only one who's had to rebuild from the ashes. It's a lonely journey, but we're never as alone as we think. Have you ever had to start over? Have you ever had your world collapse, only to find a strength you never knew you had? I want to hear about it. Share your story in the comments. Your journey might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. And if you want to hear more stories about overcoming the odds, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for listening.